friends, Jewel back with another super cool astrology video. I want to talk about the opposition between the Moon and Pluto today. What happens when we have this super emotionally dynamic aspect in a birth chart. So, the Moon is our habitual emotional patterns. It's what we experienced in the past and has a lot to do with our heritage and our lineage and a response to our mother. Represents feminine things and nurturing, and basically it is how we want to orient ourselves or how we want to achieve our equilibrium, our sense of security through our habitual emotional patterns. So it's what we came to believe was safe as young children and how to survive and how we keep that going then. So Pluto is a lot about our repressed pain, things that we experienced and they leave a scar. So it is consequently how we use our pain to control situations and gain power in the world. And this is why it represents other people's values, because it is very much how we try to gain other people's values in the world, as opposed to Venus, which is the opposite energy, which is how we gain values for ourselves, how we value ourselves, and how we put ourselves out in the world to gain values. So it's interesting. So when we have these two meeting in opposition, oppositions are interesting. If you don't know much about oppositions, I have a video specifically about them that you can find on a different playlist. I think it's aspects in the birth chart, or aspects in astrology. Oppositions are where we act in ways where we cause others to reflect back to us what is coming from the inside. So they're a lot about acting out. And when we have these two sitting in an opposition to each other, the Moon and Pluto, we tend to act out our pain rather than feel it, rather than recognize it as our own. We don't have a whole lot of tolerance for sitting with our pain, and a unconscious belief that we don't really have the strength to face it or meet it where it is. So there tends to be a lot of avoidance of pain when we have this particular aspect. It's not like the conjunction where we're constantly drawing it to and living it, and we live and breathe it. The opposition, oh yeah, we're living it, but we think we're avoiding it. So they tend to be emotionally closed off to a large degree, people that have this particular aspect. And they avoid attaching in risky ways because they can't allow anyone else to control their feelings. And so they carefully avoid all risk of vulnerability. They can react very badly if you try to get too close to them, or if they do start to develop trust in you, because there's a threat to their survival if they come to this place, because they know now if attachment has happened, they're in trouble, because now they're at your mercy. And so they try to avoid getting to that place. If they trust you, then you could betray them. And so that would cause them to access their pain. And they're so cut off from it that it terrifies them to think of meeting it. So they act it out. It comes this way rather than sitting on the inside. Well, so they think. So they tend to see others as a threat when we have this particular aspect in somebody's chart. And you can often see the types of behaviors where they'll be getting to know you, be getting to attach to you, be getting to develop something with you, and then they break it off because you're getting too close. I once had a girlfriend when I was in my very early 20s. We were cocktail waitressing, actually, at the same place. And she was absolutely in love with this drummer that she had met. Totally over the moon with this guy. They got along perfectly well. They were very, very well matched, high compatibility, a lot of the same values. It was going very great. He broke it off suddenly, out of nowhere. And they were even talking about getting married, and it was starting to get very serious. Ended it. She was devastated, absolutely devastated, because she did not even see that coming. And the only thing he could say was, I just got scared. It got too close. I just got scared. And that was it. Those are the kinds of behaviors that can happen when we have this particular aspect, because of that need for attachment. But then, I can't do this because I will be attached. So they challenge the authority and the identity of other people, and especially their sexual partners, especially people that they have a bond with. Those are the people that they tend to have a problem with, because those are the people that they could potentially be truly attached to. That would create intimacy, that would create vulnerability, that might create death. And so there's this, they equate safety with death. That's what's at the bottom of everything. They're afraid of death. They are afraid of the truth, because death could result from seeing the truth of their pain. So they create scenarios where they see the truth in others. They cause other people to see the truth. They'll spit it out you like it's a venom. And it's too much truth too fast. It alienates their partners. It alienates other people in the world. Well, they see it as, I'm just being real. I'm just being raw. I'm just being truthful. No, you're being hurtful. And this is because you're trying to hurt yourself. You're trying to feel again. There's a lot of psychology that is behind Moon-Pluto aspects, and especially with the conjunction, in conjunction, and the opposition, it really, really reigns supreme when it comes to really figuring out what's going on here. If you have a good idea or a good understanding of psychology, you can get to the bottom of this aspect pretty quick. So what's happening is they need to start accepting the truth for themselves. They need to re-see the stories of pain that they nurture, that they keep going, that they don't want to see. The painful stories are going to be centered around betrayal and shifty people, and people are selfish, and so their pain is very much, or their stories of pain are very much connected to how they think other people have mistreated them. And so in re-seeing or reviewing those, what they define as where their wounds come from. And it's more important to look at this in real time. Where do they come from now? They'll have a lot of stories of the past, but this is one that tends to keep them in separation in real time. So you have to look at what's at the bottom of your anger. What's at the bottom of your rage and your resistance to connection? It's a fear of annihilation. It's a fear of death. It's a fear of nothing. It is a fear of seeing the no thing, the nothing. You are so close to enlightenment with this particular opposition. You are so close. My God, you are so close. You are so close to seeing what you really are, but you have to face the abyss, in order to get there. You have to meet the pain where it is. You have to feel the humiliation that comes from realizing that you are weak. You have to avoid the pain so you stay alive. But the thing is, that's just the mind talking. Once you meet the pain, you realize that by passively allowing it to wash over you, by not avoiding it, by not sticking it to somebody else, you will find your peace. Your pain will bring you peace by feeling it. This is the reconnection that you're looking for here. You tend to puke your pain up with this particular aspect on other people, but you also puke up your truth. You're trying to get people to dare you. You're daring them. That's what you're daring them to cause you enough pain that you have to meet it. So we're trying to get other people to take responsibility for making us feel our pain when we have this particular opposition. And that's why they see pain everywhere. When we have an addiction, we get really used to not feeling pain. And with even a chemical addiction, this is a really good example, a chemical or physical addiction, we started to cover a certain emotion or a certain area of physical pain. There's a specific reason or a specific feeling or a specific situation that we're trying to mask with that addiction or with taking that pill or taking that painkiller. But the more that we take it, the more that we get addicted, the more that we get used to taking it, it lowers our tolerance for being able to deal with any amount of pain. And so that's where we're at with this particular opposition. We've got so close, so used to not dealing or not feeling that pain by not making the proper healthy connections in life, not forming healthy, reciprocal, soft, forgiving relationships. Distrustful relationships are usually what we choose with this particular opposition. By meeting your pain, you form different relationships. You will attract different people into your life because you're not looking for them to bring you that pain. You are the one who's taking responsibility for it, feeling it, filing it away, meeting it where it is, dispelling it. And now we see wonderful connection. We see the intensity that you were looking for in the first place by trying to create these situations where they're going to come back at you. And so it's a way that we change the way that we view people by changing from the inside. Originally, they'll see others as selfish or users or insecure or dangerous, or they'll, be out to get us somehow with this opposition. And so we behave accordingly with this opposition. We'll treat them like that, and then we tend to get that back. So we don't attract people with questionable motives anymore when we have this opposition, because we find ways to make people fit into our story. All of us do this. This is a universal thing. Doesn't matter what we believe. We will find ways to make the people that we meet fit into that story. Whether it's a story of how good they are, or how caring they are, or how bad they are, or how selfish they are, we will find a way to view them in that fashion. And so they're looking really for people with this opposition, are looking for people who will make them feel humiliated and make them feel used because they want the truth. This is what meeting our pain brings us. It brings us into contact with the truth. You can see it in other people, and you say it to them. And it isn't always healthy how it comes out, but you're trying to say it to yourself. You're trying to get yourself to realize the truth. You can't do that until you allow yourself to attach, to feel, to examine these painful stories, to take responsibility for your own healing. You've got to expose your true feelings. Exposure is so humiliating to people with this particular aspect. But humility is what will bring you peace. Humility is what dispels a lot of the painful stories of the identity and the ego. And when we sink down into that abyss of feeling it and really letting it wash over us, oh God, it's awful, but only in the beginning, we realize that there was nothing to be afraid of in the first place. And it was a joke. It was a joke. Avoiding attachments that can cause you to enlighten yourself are the same people who will enlighten you. So whether you avoid them or not, you're so close. And you have the opportunity in this lifetime to see beyond a lot of illusions that other people are never going to have the opportunity to see beyond. But you've got to start looking at those stories, feeling what's behind them, diving deeper into what the truth of your pain is. Get to the bottom of it. Admit what it is. In admitting something, that is bringing it to the surface. That is humiliating. But it's a beautiful thing because the truth will set you free. It really will. And this is one of those aspects that when you see it in the chart of somebody, this is a potential spiritual master. And this is to be respected. They have earned this lesson, and it's a big one. And my hat is off to you if you can really make use of this, because there is a lot to teach other people about the reality of things if you can really figure this one out for yourself. So I hope this was helpful. If it was, please subscribe to my channel. You can find me on the internet at Truth and Aspect Astrology, and on Facebook and Instagram at Truth and Aspect Astrology. And I do private consultation, but I'm mainly a relationship and intimacy astrologer, but I interpret all types of charts, and I'll be back super soon with more super cool videos. Bye-bye.